Hi, I'm Streaky, this is Metropolis Mastering, and this is
Shay
from ACM, and today is Q&A day. So, far away.
Question 1. What do you do when you get an overly limited file into master and there is no way of getting a new mix from the producer or engineer?
Firstly, it's annoying.
Yeah.
I always obviously go back and ask if they can't, but that's not the question. The question
is you can't.
Okay,
You've already asked that question.
Okay.
No go.
I have to drop the level to get into my desk.
Mm-hmm.
So I tend to drop it in so that I can, and my main way of getting around that is to EQ my way out of it.
Yeah. I mean, when you're dropping it down, what sort of level are you looking at to drop it down to?
I have to drop it to about -6.
Yeah. Okay.
And so then it's sort of coming in. Then I'll start trying to chop in some EQ to it to try and open it up and to try and get some
faux dynamics.
Yeah, try and get something going. I might compress in certain areas, like the bass or something. So I add a load of bass, then start compressing it, just to try and get some kind of movement out of the track, because it's already ruined. So I might as well try and open it up.
Yeah.
If I can open it up, I might have to take some top off, because a lot of the time when people have smashed something to death, it's made it really bright. So sometimes you have to curve that down, which can make it sound smoother and weirdly a bit more open. So I'm kind of doing that, and then I'm more likely to then relimit it, but only just to bring back up the level. So obviously the EQ brings on some level. So I'll probably adding 3 or 4 with EQ dB back in, and then then another couple of dB back again on the limiters to get it back up to the sort of level. But it's the more of the pain in the backside of that is that the producer who sent it to you has obviously smashed it to death and got it as loud as it's going to go. And so then when you send it back to them, because you've done EQ changes to make it sound better and make it sound a bit more open, they are like, well, they've A-B'd it against their track that they've sent in, and ain't any louder, mate, is it?
That's the first thing. It's always the first thing, isn't it?
And it's like, well, no, of course it's not any louder, because you smashed it to death.
But
it's got an RMS of like
-6.
Yeah. But I've tried to give it a little bit more kind of body and a bit more warmth and life and feel, and add some dynamics back to it. So, because the sort of people that are going to send you something that's crushed to death are those sort of people that say it needs to be louder, mate.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's a real losing situation. So, which is why going down that road is always the last scenario you want to be doing. You need to get back to the producer and explain to them, look, you're going to have to try and send me the have you got stems of it without it? Have you got the parts for it? Send me those, because anything you've got is going to be better than what you've given me, because it's not sounding right. It sounds distorted. It sounds crushed, and it's not great. I mean, if it's coming from somebody who has smashed it to death and they know what they're doing, you don't have to do anything, and that's the ideal scenario again.
Yeah, if it sounds okay already,
then
and they know what they're doing. Yeah, exactly. You're just the last port of call, just to make sure. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, it sounds
couple
fine.
of dB. Yeah, maybe just pull it down again a little bit, but then just add a bit of EQ here and there. You're not salvaging.
No. What I'm talking about before is it's horrible sounding. It's smashed to death. They just smashed it through a limiter, and just to get it loud because that feels right, or they've mixed into the limiter, and that hasn't helped them. So they're better leaving me the headroom. And so fortunately most people can go back and drop the level, but then a lot of times they have to then remix it, because they've been mixing into the limiter, which has given them a certain sound they were looking for, and then they've got to try and find that sound in the right way. So ideally they've just sent it, and then I might just keep it digital if it's not in that situation, because I want to add some analog warmth and some juice to it, some 3D-ness to it. But if it's a good sounding track and it's come in and it just needs a little bit of top, or just something very minor, there's no point in me taking it out and putting it through all the gear and converting it and blah blah.
Adding loads
Sometimes
of
I'm better off just adding a touch of top with a really nice plug-in, and then maybe a touch of limiting just to cover what that plug-in's doing.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do.
Yeah. So conclusion-wise, it's not a dead end. It's better to not have to deal with that, but it's not the end of the world.
No, you can
be sorted.
You can sort it, and you can, but you have to manage someone's expectations as always with that.
Yeah.
And say, look, this is what you've given me.
It's not going to be the best it can be.
Yeah, it's not going to sound like the track that you've just sent me.
That probably leads into the next one.
Right.
What is your pet peeve at the moment? It can be anything.
Right. Coming from out the back of that one would be people asking me to make something sound identical to something else which has been made by Drake.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay. Or something as big as that. I would say it's okay if you are that kind of producer and you have got that sound, and then it's like, okay, fine, you're in that ballpark. But again, it comes back to those sort of guys where they've smashed it to death and then they say, can you make it sound like that? And it's like, well, no, because it's ruined already. So it's very hard for me to do that. Or the vocal recording's really bad. Or if you've got something that's really bad and I want to sound like Drake, it's very difficult to get that to happen. But that's not necessarily saying that I don't want people to send me reference tracks. And also, or a reference master that they've done themselves. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Because I love the challenge. If it's a reference master and then I've been sent back the pre-master, that's great because it gives me something to work against. So it's like, okay, you thought this was good.
Exactly.
Check this out.
Yeah.
And I go, and I can reference against it, or I can go, oh, they got it sounding really good.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, someone will master something, I'll go, yeah, they've got it sounding really good. And I won't listen to that after I've done it. And then it's louder or it's better than mine.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, oh, up another notch.
Yeah.
And it pushes me to get a better sound out of something and to push the track more.
And you get an idea of what they expect it to kind of sound
like. Okay, that's their expectation. Well, I'm gonna exceed that.
Yeah.
And if I can't, that's really annoying for me. So it makes my job much more enjoyable.
Yeah.
And if somebody's got reference material that they've been listening to, it's just, most people understand. I mean, most 90% of clients understand, okay, well, this was recorded there and this was recorded in my bedroom.
Yeah.
I mean, people aren't that stupid, but the very small minority are, that are sending you a smash track and they say, I want to sound like whoever.
Yeah.
And then that's my pet peeve. It's like, well, it's very hard for me to, and then you come back and say, it doesn't sound like...
Be realistic.
Where am I?
Yeah.
I don't know what to do for you, basically.
Yeah.
I want to try and help you, and I want to try and tell you more about your mix and what you could change, and I'll always do that if I think, okay, but if they did change the bass, I might be able to get it near.
Yeah.
Or if they changed the top end, I could get it near. But it's when they don't want to do the changes.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's fine.
Fix it in mastering.
Yeah, it's fine.
Do your job.
I like it. So that's my pet hate. What about yours?
Pet hate. Not naming files. If I get sent mix files and they're audio 1 to 75,
that's handy.
Or vocals and they're not vocals, that sometimes works. Or if it's done in Logic, MIDI 1 BIP 3, which is a bounced in place version of MIDI.
Right.
It means I've got to go through every single file and waste time. And if it's by the hour, that's you're wasting money. Just going through every file. If unnaming files, it's a boring thing, but it's just. It makes so much more difference. Like the frame of mind you are for when the mix happens. Like if I get files that are sent that are really well labelled, like vocals 1, lead.
All starting in the right place.
Oh, brilliant. Do you know what I mean? Or
pop them in.
Yeah, sometimes they even do it like if I say that, or I've done stuff for them before and they know I might start with drums at the top of the session, they'll number it ready.
Wow.
So straight away I drag it in, like top to bottom, it's
you're fired up, ready to go.
Exactly, yeah, and I'm really happy about it. And it makes me want to do really well for that person because they've gone out their way to help me.
Yeah.
Whereas someone that's just like, yeah, mate, mix that. Like audio 1 to 75, like right. So I've spent an hour going through everything.
It's just being. I think that's just being professional, though, isn't it? And people need to realise they need to be more professional when it comes to naming tracks and keeping things tidy and backing things up and archiving stuff correctly.
It's like recently doing vocal on production work, like vocals for someone. They send me vocals over that they've recorded somewhere else just to put in with a backing track. But every single vocal is named correctly, like. First verse, part 1. Second verse, part 1. Everything like harmony left, harmony right. Even though they're mono files, that singer knows exactly where that harmony should be placed. Makes my job 100% easier. I can go and change those afterwards, but I know where the starting point is. I'm not spending 20 minutes going, right, what's that? Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
Wasting
gosh,
time. It's
I
just
couldn't bear that.
yeah, that's my pet peeve.
Thank
Not
the Lord
naming
I'm a mastering
files.
engineer and
Yeah.
not a mix engineer.
Most of the lectures that I do, number one thing when I talk about being a professional, like in the industry, is naming things and prep work. Prep work before you even listen to anything. Prep work. Does the session look good? Are you going to hand it over to anyone? Is it labelled correctly? Is it colour coded? Is it like done proper? Makes you seem more professional, doesn't it? And it makes the next person want to up their game a bit and do well for you. Yeah. So yeah, that's my pet peeve. Third question.
Hit me.
What's the most recent piece of gear or plug-in you have acquired or got?
In here, it's although I've used it before, but I've now got it permanently in here. Is the
Plumbed in
over there? Is the Antelope atomic clock. So that's basically driving my word clocks. And if you've ever had anything, an external word clock running everything, it just cleans everything up. A lot of the time I might use the Prism because it's got a smoother sound. But the Antelope's quite sharp and very precise. So for dance music or anything electronic, hip hop especially, it's really tight for like the punchiness and the attacks and stuff. So it just adds another 1% to the room, and it's all those 1% that I believe are the biggest thing you can do in mastering.
Yeah, of course. When it comes to mastering, it is just adding those extra
changing your leads,
1-2%. Yeah, shorter leads,
shortening your leads. Yeah. Making sure your equipment's clean. I don't know, all these little things that just add up to a good sound. And so that is now I'm using it more and more, and so that's in the room.
Yeah.
Whereas before I was using the Prism. The Prism's got a really nice clock on it to clock everything. But I'm finding that I'm getting a sharper, cleaner sound from using the atomic clock.
The dedicated clock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice though.
So if you get a chance to check it out, do.
Nice.
What about you?
Probably production-wise, the latest thing I got is guitar pedals. I don't play guitar. I use synthesizers, and it's running synthesizers through guitar pedals, running things out of Logic into guitar pedals and back through again.
Right.
Things like overdrives, reverbs, delays, but on a pedal instead of a plug-in.
Do they not add too much noise?
Sometimes, but it's why I use it. Like I want that noise.
You want
the texture that comes from it. Like 2 Digitech pedals that I bought. One's called a Polara, a reverb, and a Obscura, which is a delay. And they're just awesome. They just sound really good. They transform anything. I've been outputting some of the channels out of Logic and Pro Tools into those pedals, and then back through recording them through the pedals instead of using plugins. It's longer than putting a plugin on, but the tone is completely different. Yeah, and it sounds really good. So I'm really into that at the moment. Just using guitar pedals. The only problem is you've got to make sure you've got stereo pedals. You can't get a mono pedal.
Right.
So otherwise you can only output mono things to it and MIDI mono things.
Mono synths.
Mono synths, yeah, it works not too bad. But if you get stereo pedals, you can still plug a mono synth in and get a stereo out from it. Yeah. So yeah, any stereo pedals that are about, I'm sort of picking up at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. Well, there's our Q&A for this week. Thanks for watching, as usual. And I've been Streaky.
Been Shay.
Please subscribe. Please leave us some comments. If you've got any questions, please ask them. We'll answer them for you. And thanks for watching. Until next time. Bye.